Hey everybody, and welcome back. We're doing a deep dive today. You know all about the BRRRR method, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat.
Yeah.
We are going to zero in on refinancing specifically,
Right.
so you can unlock the true potential of this strategy.
Yeah. You hear the acronym BRRRR,
Right.
but, we need to get into how to actually make that refinance work for you.
Absolutely. And to help us with that, we are looking at the Faster Freedom Show hosted by Sam.
Yeah.
He's a real estate investor who's actually done this himself.
Wow.
And he had a great video that we're going to unpack.
Yeah, a lot of good wisdom there. And one of the things that I thought was important that he brought up was running the numbers conservatively.
Yeah.
You get excited about deals, and that's when you can make mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talked about the after repair value.
Yeah, the ARV.
It's so tempting to be optimistic.
Right.
But then what happens if the appraisal comes in lower than you hoped?
Yeah, that's when you can get in trouble because you're relying on that refinance to pay off your initial loans.
Right.
And if it falls short, you got to come up with the difference.
Which can really mess up your plans, especially if you're trying to scale quickly.
Exactly. And it's not just the ARV either.
Right.
Underestimating rehab costs can be just as bad.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, unexpected issues pop up. Material prices go up, and then suddenly you're eating into your profits. Or even worse, going in the red.
Right. So Sam's advice is to build in that buffer.
Yeah.
Assume a little bit lower ARV and higher rehab costs.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really smart approach, especially when you're first starting out.
Yeah.
It's all about mitigating that risk,
For sure.
setting yourself up for success.
And then he also had some interesting things to say about choosing the right lender
Yes.
for the refinance stage.
Right.
He seems to really favor small local banks
Yeah.
over these big national institutions.
Right.
So why is that?
Well, the big national banks, they're all about volume.
Okay.
And they like standardized loans, things that fit in a box.
Right.
BRRRR properties, especially early on, they don't always fit in that box.
Got it. So they're maybe not as willing to work with BRRR investors?
Yeah, they might not see the full picture.
Okay.
Especially with a property that's been recently renovated.
Right.
And they're focused on selling these loans, on the secondary market.
Right.
So they want those, standardized loans,
Okay.
conforming mortgages.
But smaller banks are more flexible.
Exactly.
Okay.
They keep their loans in-house
Gotcha.
so they can be more creative with underwriting
Okay.
and assess risk on a case-by-case basis.
I see.
And they're looking to build relationships, with local investors.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Finding a lender who understands what you're trying to do.
Right.
Now, he also had this pro tip.
Yeah.
I thought this was very interesting and maybe even a little controversial. He suggests meeting with the appraiser in person.
Yeah, I think that's a bold move.
Yeah.
But it can be beneficial if you do it right.
Okay.
The appraiser is trying to figure out how much your property is worth.
Right.
So if you go in with a packet showing them, your rehab costs, recent sales in the area, and explain how you came up with your valuation, that can make a big difference.
So it's not about trying to pressure them.
Yeah.
It's more about being transparent.
Absolutely. You want to help them see the value that you've created,
Okay.
with this renovation.
Yeah.
But you got to be ethical.
Right.
You're not trying to inflate the value artificially.
Right.
Just showing how legit your project is.
Makes sense, building that trust.
Right.
Now, another myth that he debunks in the video is the idea that your debt-to-income ratio is super important for the BRRRR refinance.
Right.
He says it's not as important as people think.
And he's right. Your DTI is super important for personal loans, like a mortgage on your primary residence.
Yeah.
But when it comes to investment properties, especially rentals, lenders are more focused on something different.
Okay.
The debt service coverage ratio.
Gotcha.
Or DSCR.
So instead of looking at all of your income and debt,
Right.
they're more interested in whether the rental income
Exactly.
will cover the mortgage payment.
Yeah, DSCR measures the property's ability to generate enough cash flow to pay the mortgage.
Got it.
And lenders want to see a healthy DSCR.
Okay.
Typically, above 1.2,
Okay.
meaning the rental income covers the loan payments comfortably.
That's good news for BRRRR investors who might be worried about their DTI.
Yeah, it is. Your personal finances still matter,
Right.
but lenders are primarily concerned with the property itself.
Okay.
Can it generate enough income to cover its expenses,
Gotcha.
regardless of your situation?
This is some great information.
Yeah,
Refinancing really is a critical piece of this BRRRR puzzle.
it is
And there's more to it than meets the eye.
a lot more.
It's not just about getting a loan. It's about, you know how lenders are looking at your BRRRR project and how to navigate the appraisal process and making these strategic decisions.
Exactly.
That will set you up for success.
And speaking of strategic decisions, Sam actually brought up an interesting question.
Yeah.
About the refinance goal itself.
Yeah.
You hear a lot about pulling out all your initial investment as being the ideal outcome.
Yeah.
But he wonders if that's always the best way to go.
That is interesting. And that is something we will dig into after a quick break.
Sounds good.
So it's interesting that he challenges this idea of always striving for no money down.
Yeah.
What are the downsides of pulling all of your money out during the refinance?
Well, it can limit your options later on.
Okay.
If you want to build a big portfolio fast, maximizing leverage on each property might seem like the way to go.
Yeah.
But that can also make your portfolio riskier.
Okay.
Especially, if the market changes.
So leaving some equity in could be like a safety net.
Exactly. It's like a cushion.
Yeah.
If property values drop or your rents go down, having a lower loan to value gives you more breathing room.
Yeah.
You're less likely to end up underwater on the mortgage.
Right.
If things go south.
Which can be really important for newer investors.
Oh, absolutely.
Who are still, building experience and confidence.
Yeah. And there's some financial advantages, too.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about the debt service coverage ratio?
Yeah, that DSCR.
Exactly. Well, having a smaller loan means lower monthly payments.
Right.
Which can really boost your DSCR.
And then a higher DSCR makes you look better to lenders.
It does, even if you're not pulling out every last dollar this time.
Right.
That better DSCR can make it easier to get financing for your next deal.
Yeah.
So you're thinking long term.
It's not just about the immediate return.
Right. It's about setting yourself up for sustainable growth.
For sure. And what about the interest payments?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
A smaller loan means you're paying less interest over time.
Right. Which can really add up.
Yeah.
You can save a lot of money over the life of the loan.
And then you can use those savings for other projects.
Exactly. Or to build your cushion even more.
Now, some people might say that maximizing leverage is the fastest way to build wealth.
Right. I mean, leverage can really boost your returns.
Yeah.
But it also increases your risk.
Oh, okay.
When the market's hot, maxing out leverage seems like a good idea.
Right.
But when things cool down, those properties with a lot of debt can become a problem.
So you're saying it's all about finding that balance.
Yeah, between, growing quickly and managing risk.
That makes sense.
There's no one right answer.
Yeah.
When it comes to BRRRR refinancing, you have to think carefully about your goals, your risk tolerance, and what the market's doing.
This has been really insightful. We've gone beyond just the basics of BRRRR refinancing and really explored some of the strategic things that can make a difference.
Yeah, it's all about being informed,
Right.
And making decisions where you understand the pros and cons.
Absolutely. There's no magic formula.
Right.
But knowledge and careful planning can help you a lot.
Yeah.
Now, to wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question.
Okay.
If your goal is to eventually sell these BRRRR properties, how does leaving some equity in during the refinance affect that sale?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
It seems counterintuitive, Wouldn't you want to take all your money out?
Right.
So you make the biggest profit when you sell?
Yeah, you would think so, right?
Yeah.
If you don't take all your money out, your profit percentage-wise might be lower.
Right.
But it's not just about the final sale price.
Okay.
It's about how much money you make overall during the time you own the property.
So like the lower payments and the interest savings could actually offset that smaller profit margin.
Exactly. Let's say there are two scenarios.
Okay. In one, you take out all your money.
Right.
In the other, you leave some equity in.
Okay.
So in the first one, you get more cash right away, but your loan is bigger and your payments are higher.
Right.
In the second one, you have less cash now.
Okay.
But you might have more cash flow every month.
Yeah.
Because your payments are lower.
Okay.
And you can take that extra cash flow and reinvest it.
Right.
Or fix up the property even more, or just have more financial security.
So it's like a trade-off,
It is.
Do you want the big return up front?
Right.
Or do you want a more stable property that makes you money over time?
Exactly. And don't forget about the mental side of things.
Okay.
Some investors just feel better knowing they have a smaller loan.
Right.
And more equity.
Yeah.
It helps them handle market ups and downs.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And make smarter choices when it's time to sell.
So it sounds like you really need to know your own goals and how much risk you're comfortable with.
Yeah, For sure. There's no right or wrong answer here.
Right.
It's about doing what makes sense for you.
Well, this has been a really great discussion. We've learned a lot from Sam's video and from you.
Good.
BRRR refinancing is so important.
It is.
And it's not as simple as just getting the most money possible.
Right. You got to think long term.
Exactly.
It's about building a portfolio that makes you money consistently.
Right.
And sets you up to build real wealth.
So for our listeners who are interested in the BRRRR method, what are your top tips for handling the refinance part?
Well, first do your research.
Okay.
Learn about the different loans out there. Look into lenders, compare their terms.
Right.
Make sure your finances are in good shape.
Okay.
A good track record.
Yeah.
And I think most importantly, find mentors.
Yeah.
Join communities. Learn from people who've done this successfully.
Great advice. And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Oh, yeah. There are so many resources out there.
Yeah.
Books, podcasts, websites, even coaching programs.
Absolutely. The more you learn, the more confident you'll be.
That's right. Knowledge is power.
It really is. Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
It was my pleasure.
And to our listeners, keep learning and keep exploring the world of real estate investing. We'll be back soon with another deep dive. But until then, happy investing.